Okay, so let's create a metal material. It's gonna be the same. It's gonna be a little same painted metal material as we created in the first class. So let's start it. Let's minimize these guys. So one more thing I like to do with my base color is sometimes make it a really weird color which does not match my character to figure out how much I have left to texture out still. Let's solo our torso, so we don't want to focus on anything else. Let's start with the metal. Let's go in, add a fill, group it. That will be our black metal matte. Let's make it a black mask, and I'm gonna assign this material to all the metal pieces. Let's start with adding a color selection. Let's pick the metal pieces. Alright, so I went in and picked all the black metals that we had. For these guys, I felt just like adding a paint and using polygon fill would be easy to pick these guys, but it also picked this guys as well. To get rid of them, I can add a color selection, and instead of having it white, I can make the output value black and pick out those guys. We can always create a new material that overlaps on top of it. There's no need to create a mask for these guys individually, but let's just have it for now. So this black metal, let's start by making it black. Let's make it metal. So that's something I did the last time. I made a painted metal which had paint as metallic as well. So at that time I did not knew better and I made it because it looked better, which it actually did for some reason. But we are gonna follow the PBR rules for now. So our metal will be metal, our paint will be non-metal. So let's go in and let's make it white again because this is gonna be our inner metal. Let's make it metallic and less shiny. I'm not gonna break this up more. If you guys feel like you want to do it, just go in and do that. That will be our metal base. Let's add one more layer, make it paint. Let's add a white mask. And on our paint, let's make it blue so we can see what it's doing. This will be non-metal, and for the roughness, let's say something around here. Let's make it, let's find a color that might suit him better. We can go with black again. That's a neutral choice. It goes well with anything. Let's have blue, cause why not? Again, I keep on repeating this. I would actually like you guys to go in and explore more materials with this character. Make sure to pick references to support that material creation, and you can create any material which you want just by using these simple tricks. Everything which we have done so far has been the same, just repeating those things to get a different result. So let's go in and add the chipping. So this is our painted look. I'm gonna keep it less bumpy or breakupy because it's supposed to be a sci-fi material, and if you look at sci-fi designs, they don't seem to have much of a gradient in their paint of their metal pieces. So let's keep it like that for now. If you feel like we want to add more, we can add more. So let's add a generator. Let's add a black mask, add a generator. Let's make an MG mask editor. So I have a better option. Let's close this. Let's go to our smart materials and let's pick something else. So let's start with edge scratches. drag and drop, and it's giving us result like this. Let's hit 1. So I guess the result is a little bit inverted. So if I go to metal edge viewer and invert it, that's something what we want, but it's a bit too extreme. So let's go to our settings and play with them to get something like this. Sweet. I'm gonna go in and make a filter that will warp it, so we don't have a constant thing going on. Let's alt click on this so we see what it's doing. I'm gonna add a level and change my level so we have more black than white under our grunges. Alright, so that's our edge wear for these metal pieces. Let's go in and add a height system, which we did last time. Let's go in, add a fill layer. This will be under paint, the mask which we just made. Let's add an anchor point. Name it paint mask, should be fine. On our height damage, add a black mask, add a fill, go to anchor point and pick in paint mask so that it's using that. And we are going to construct a mask that only affects here. So alt click on our mask, go to fill, under level, invert it, add a filter, add a blur, that should be fine. Add a level and get our whites back. Something like this. Add a fill again. Click here, go to anchor point, pick our paint mask and make it multiply. There you go. So we have our edge wear, not edge wear, the height information around the edge wear. So let's press M. On our material, let's keep roughness on and height. Let's give it a little more roughness. And if I give it height, that's gonna be our painted damage. Let's keep it more subtle. Let's go to my levels, play with these. On my blur, alright, something like that. Let's go back to my height. Sweet. Let's check it out in more places. Alright, this should work fine. So right now what we have is an edge wear which looks procedural. So we discussed this in last week, but let's have a better look because it looks more prominent here. So if you see on all of these edge wears, they look same. They are constant everywhere. They don't have any breakup and they look pretty boring and machine generated. That's what I feel by substance look. So we are going to go in and break it up more just in a moment. So now I feel that the paint needs a bit more breakup. So let's go in, make it black. And I'm gonna add a fill layer. That will be our paint breakup. And we are just gonna break our roughness, not the height this time. So I'm gonna group these two guys. And on my folder, add a black mask, add a fill, and we are gonna use the mask from our paint. So this guy will be our breakup, add a black mask, add a fill. Let's go to our procedurals and pick in cloud 3. Tell it more. Just go to our channel. Only have roughness. Or something like this. Or that. Awesome. So now, since we have that procedural look that we talked about, which is pretty annoying, boring, and nobody likes to look at, let's go in to our paint layer where we made the mask. So this is it. Under a paint mask, I'm gonna add a paint. Let's keep it under our anchor point so it updates on top layer as well. Let's make it divide. Hit 4, press M, and if I'm right, black should hide everything. Sweet. And with 1, this is where you have to come in and decide where you feel like there should be more scratches and where it won't. So everywhere I paint white. Oh, one thing, if you have anything mirrored, you cannot paint on the mirrored part. So you have to go in the original one and paint there. So this is where you have to make the artistic choice of picking some places where you feel there's more damage. And where it is not. You can keep it really highly damaged, like everywhere edgeware, or you can have just a slight of edgeware some places, because again, it's a sci-fi material, they have less damages in their design. That decision should also be made according to your references, like how your references and what you feel like would be most damaged parts in this guy. So apart from painting those masks that we were doing, like painting in these borders, painting in these borders, so Substance kinda has become a bit like those coloring books where you have to stay under the line and paint colors. So that's what we were doing, painting these masks, and maybe you guys will feel the same thing while you do that. Apart from that, apart from material creation, this is where your artistic ability comes in play, and the more you can think of is where these damage should be and where they should not. Creating those materials is pretty simple, like what we did just now. It's just a simple way which we are repeating over and over again to get different looks, but deciding this thing and how deciding this thing can change how appealing your character is and how flat it is. You don't want to go too flat, you don't want to go too noisy. My advice would be, if you want to learn this really well, pick up references, look at real life references, not something other artists have made, and find out where real life things have been damaged more and where they haven't. Try to mimic that in your old sculpt. Alright, so let's just add in some more damages. One thing I feel, apart from these damages, our paint is flat again. By flat, I don't mean the breakups, but since we have this big of a damage here, there's no damage around the plates. So let's go in and add scratches around those areas as well. I'm gonna create a new fill layer. I don't want to pick any of these big damages for it. So add a fill, add a black mask, add a paint. Let's name it scratches. And on my paint, let's pick in grunge scratches. Oh, my bad. Let's add a fill, not a paint. Let's drag this guy, tell it more. Under balance, let's play with the settings to get something like this. Go to our levels, go to our fill, disable everything, and keep our height on, and give it a little less of height. So we have this damage going on everywhere now. I'm gonna add a paint. I'm gonna do the same thing, make it multiply, so we can define where the scratches will be and where it won't be. Alright, so apart from that, our material is done. All we have to do now is define where the damage is and where it is not. Alright, last thing, let's add a bit of dirt, add a fill, and a black mask. Let's go to our smart mask, type in dirt, let's pick this guy. So since our AO is affecting these places, our dirt is pretty high there. So we want to get something different so we don't mess everything up too much. So let's make it dark and pretty rough. So crevices are more blocked in. And for this area, it works fine. It doesn't look that bad, but if I don't feel like it looks good in future, I will just go in, add a paint and mask this area out. Okay, so that's it for the material. Let's start to move in and create other accessories which we have. In the meantime, offside the video, I might go in and add those damages in and mask it where it should be and where it should not. Alright, awesome. So let's go to the next chapter.